Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening. My name is Resa Lestari. I am representative from Group 3. Here, our members group is Muhammad Dzikry, Lisna Oktapia, and Ria Siti M. In this occasion, I will explain what the genre of explaining. Firstly, what is it? The genre of explaining. The genre of explaining is a fundamental language function or for understanding the world of how it operates. The process of explaining is used to logically sequence the way that we and our environment physically function as well as understanding and interpreting why cultural and intellectual ideas and concepts prevail. An explanation text gives you information about a subject that you are interested in and would like to know more about. And so we can say that the genre of explaining is a text that explains how and what a concept looks like or how an object works and others in sequence and detail. Well, the next is about purpose. It is written to explain and why something in the world happens. It is about actions rather than about things. Explanation play a valuable role in building and storing our knowledge. Technical and scientific writing are often expressed in this form. Or, in the other hand, we can explain that this text is written in a scientific form. What is mean scientific form, which is maybe based on logical reasoning or in writing using standardized language. Well, next we will about types of explanation. Here are two types of explanation, namely of how and explanation of why. Explanation of how is more about explaining something about an event or how something works. For example, explaining mechanically how a fan works or how a car works, or maybe it can explain something naturally, maybe how can be rain occurs. That is for the example. And for the second type, it is more about explaining why something can happen. Like here, for example, maybe like why the mirror in the bedroom pokes up when take a shower, or let's find another example. Maybe like why a compass shrinks when placed in a room. So like that, yes. And the next is about the structure of the genre of explanation. Okay, the first is title, and the second is general statement, introduction or identifying the phenomenon series of sequence paragraphs, and the third is concluding paragraphs, and the last one is label diagrams and flowcharts. Wait, I will share screen about the outline. Okay, this is for the structure. The first is title, and the second is general statement. Uh, it includes general statement about the topic and definition or equations and a brief description. And the second is explanation, series of statement written in sequential order to explain, and it is contains like questions. It is what is it used for and what each part does, and maybe how the parts work together and how to use it if we use the how types. And the next is if we use the why types, it is maybe contains a question like how and why it starts and what happens next and why, and what happens after that and why, and next is what happens finally and why. And for the conclusion, it contains a summary or recommendation, general comments about use or history. And maybe the next is label diagrams and flowcharts. For the last, explanation text often include diagrams, pictures, or charts to help our to understand the text. And diagram and charts always have a title, and pictures will always have a caption underneath, and it's always after the conclusion. Well, the next is Structures 2 will presented by Ria Siti M. Thank you.
Okay, next for the second structure is a structure with a sequence and explanation. Text usually start with a statement that introduces the subject or topic to the reader. Next, there comes a series of steps that explain how things happen or the reason why. And the last is these steps continue until the question has been answered from the explanation is complete. For language letters is explained from Lisna.
Okay, thank you, Ria. I want to explain about the language features in the genre of describing or explaining. There are two language features. The first, we have to use the present tense, namely using verb 1 and adding is or es at the ending to several words. And then we have to use complex or detailed nouns to describe something. For example, the lush green leaves. And then use abstract nouns. Abstract nouns can come from other words, classes such as verbs, adjectives, and also nouns. For example, from adjective, darkness, or from verb, recovery. And then use pronouns. There are many types of pronouns, one of which is demonstrative pronouns. For example, this, the, that. And then using subjects other than humans, usually on animals, plants, and others. And then use sentences with the same subject and clear verbs. And the last one is use adverbial of time and place to know when and where things happened. For example, in Western Indonesia. And that's all. Next will be explained by Ria. Thank you.
Next is used for connectives to link time sequence in a cause and effect. Connectives words are words that connect ideas. Use of passive voice and normalization to link the events to cause and effect. Passive voice is used to emphasize that a person or subject is experiencing something, and use of time conjunctions to sequence and link events and to keep the text flowing. And the last is use of technical terms or word terms about the subject. Technical terms are words that have specific meanings in the text.
Okay, and maybe this is the end of the material presentation of the genre of explaining, and next is about material connectives will be present by Muhammad Dzikry.
Okay. Um, Let me explain a little bit about connectives. So, connectives are the words or phrases that link clauses or sentences to make logical connection between different pieces of information. So, if you had two or more informations in terms of clauses and sentences, you can link them with connectives. So we get into types of connectives. Firstly, adding connectives. These are used when you want to add ideas together that agree with each other or are about the same thing. So if you have two information that are similar, or maybe you the information is for example, you like cheese. But in the other hand, you like sausages, so you can say I like cheese, I also like sausages, or you can say I like cheese and sausages, or I like cheese, I like sausages too. So yeah. The second is sequencing connectives. These are used when you want to list ideas in certain order. So um, uh, these connectives are often seen in procedure text, or the text that has that contains progress or process in there. So I cut cheese. Finally, I cooked the sausages. Firstly, you cut a cheese. So and then secondly, you cooked the sausages. The third is emphasizing connectives. These are used when you want to stress a point as being very important. So what I understand from emphasizing connectives is that if we want to convey an information, we have we have a specific or a special or an important information that we want to conclude, then we use this emphasizing connectives. So for example, I like cheese, especially cheddar. So I like cheese in specifically cheddar. The fourth is comparing connectives. These are used when you want to compare ideas that are similar or the same as each other. So if if we have two information that has one level that has setara dalam hal ini ya. So for example, you like something as the same, you like the other thing. So for example, I like gaming in the same way I like drinking, for example. The fifth is cause and effect connectives. These are used when you want the second part of your sentence to help explain the first part. The second part happens as a result of the first. So um, we want to highlight the second part happens as a result of the first. So the first is a cause and the second part is an effect. I like cheese, therefore I ate cheese. So because you like cheese, then you ate that cheese. The sixth is qualifying connectives. These are used when the first idea in your sentence relies on the second part happening. So for example, I'll cut cheese as long as you get the knives. So I can cut the cheese if you get the knife. So there's requirement. Illustrating connectives. These are used when you want to give an example to back up the first part of your sentence. For example, I like cheese such as cheddar and Leicester. So you give an example after you convey the main information. Cheese is your main information, and cheddar and Leicester is like more specific information that you want to convey. Interesting connectives. If you have, these are used when you have two ideas in your sentence that do not agree with each other. So if you have two informations or more that contrast to each other, that are berlawanan gitu ya, you can pick these contrasting connectives. For example, I like cheese. On the other hand, I do not like tomatoes.
Maybe this is the end of our presentation. Thank you for your attention. I'm sorry if our made a mistake. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.